Hi all, I have an absolutely amazing game to show you from World Chess candidates played in round 3. Levon Aronian was playing white against Vladimir Kramnik. On the day, I thought I'd seen something on Facebook about Kramnik having saying jokingly he had a PhD in the Berlin defense, and anyway, I carried on the rest of my day, and then this game came up. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, and now knight f6, the Berlin defense. d3, which has been popularized, these variations like with d3 have been popularized by the likes of Magnus Carlsen, often with an early exchange on c6. Bishop c5, and white does take on c6 without waiting for any prompt, like a6 or anything, just taking immediately. And now white castles. Queen e7 protecting that e-pawn, h3, and now here there's a load of moves which do seem sensible, including castling, maybe preparing to castle queenside is some of the ideas of some moves. But this move is very, very rare indeed. Maybe it's been played in amateur games, but at a high level, rook g8, astonishing. It just looks like a very ambitious try to sort of rip open that g-file. Super aggressive move, and maybe white has to tread very carefully now against this. White played king h1. It may be the case, for example, knight bd2, some sort of quick gambit in the center like this might be what white needs to do to try and make sure there's no king safety issues. This kind of thing might actually be important to do even at this early stage. King h1 might not be the most appropriate, but who would have prepared against rook g8 here? It's an incredibly innovative move. So king h1, and now we get another outrageous looking move, knight h5. So white's the king's still stuck in the center. Usually players try and castle with black. It looks like, you know, a game like a 12-year-old might be playing. A loose piece on h5. It looks just the simplicity of it. You know, just basically g5 now is prepared. Also, it seems here h6 might be viable as well. So already the position's fine for black, and white has some concerns about king safety here. c3, it looks logical to try and do something in the center. To break with d4, to break open the center, but g5, the king's a sitting target there. It's revealed its location. That's the big difference. The black king has still got the prospect of tucking away on the queen side later, if needed. But anyway, this interrupts the protection of the knight now from queen takes h5, because before, any knight takes e5, there was queen takes e5, for example, protecting the knight. But here, white does play knight takes e5, hitting that knight. But black just plows on g4. He just wants to open up the lines. And it's very, very dangerous. This is just leading to a forced loss, knight takes g4. This wasn't played. In the game, d4 was played. But let's have a look at this for a moment, just to show the brutality. Bishop takes, check, and knight g3 here, exploiting that pin. Queen h1 is totally inevitable now, being made. So that just shows the absolute brutality of taking there. So d4, so hitting that bishop, some central expansion. The bishop just goes back. Now g3, trying to keep the lines closed, which is recommended if you're defending. Here again, knight takes g4 is just, it's the same. It's just, you can't play this. Just get mated. Clearly, just spell it out. So g3, and now Vladimir Kramnik voluntarily gives up his bishop. That was white's only piece on the 5th rank, and actually one of the only pieces developed off the 1st rank at the moment, if you look at white's position. So queen takes e5 now was played. Black doesn't want to like close up lines. He wants to keep the lines open, so this looks more dangerous. Queen d4 protects the e-pawn and wants an exchange of queens, but no way is black accepting that. Queen drops back, and now white takes the opportunity to close things then. It looks as though if white gets a few moves in, he could develop his pieces and it'll be fine. In fact, well, there's a hook on g5 to play bishop g5. So let's see now, though, what happens. In this position, look at all of white's pieces. They're still in the first rank. The queen is actually attacked now, and we have queen c4. And the queen, it doesn't look ideal to play queen c4. The queen's got to cling on to the e-pawn here, because this is with check. If the queen drops back, it's going to be with check. Queen takes e4 check. So the queen, unfortunately, has to cling on there. Bishop e6, which at least interrupts this queen attacking the pawn. So now we get this check to kind of get out of the way there. And now queen a4. So is the job done protecting the e-pawn? If the queen went back to d3, then there's further harassment with rook d8. And this is getting nasty, actually, these tempo gains. Bishop c4 gets an access to d3. And in this position, the e4 pawn is still vulnerable, say rook g6 to swing over to e6. Knight a3, bishop d3 hitting e4. And it gets to be like e4 here, because white can't really easily play f3. In fact, e4 is dropping off, and that's really a big advantage for black, this position, where e4 does drop off. So anyway, so queen a4, not wanting that tempo gain. Now we have f5. So hitting the e-pawn directly with another pawn and trying to lodge it away to play bishop d5 check. And if you look, that looks like a really dangerous diagonal. But there's other things about that, not even just bishop d5 check. If we just look at this for a moment, bishop g5 was played. If we look at this for a moment, it's tempting to consider bishop d5 check. But actually, knight takes g3, believe it or not, rips white's king to shreds first to make bishop d5 check even more effective. And here, look at all of white's pieces. They're just mostly on the disconnection issues are evident. Queen e2 is absolutely decisive here, because if rook f2, then there's queen e1. If rook f1, then there's queen g3. The queen and bishop just coordinate very easily there. So this is all over. That can't happen, basically. So here, after f5, it's an interesting moment. Bishop g5, at least trying to get some pieces off the first rank and actually connect the rooks. Hello, hello. Try and connect the rooks. But black plays very energetically. I wonder if you can guess in this position if I give you 5 seconds. Okay, rook takes g5. The attack is really full on now. H takes g, which gives black an opportunity now to play f4, which really tries to undermine and tear to shreds this pawn chain close to white's king. White plays what seems to be a move which doesn't help the position. I mean, the two rooks and knight is just it's just not a very healthy looking position. Queen d1 is played. Rook d8, so not bothering with castling queenside. Black didn't need to castle in this game. Queen c1. F takes g3. And now finally trying to connect things on the first rank with this awkward drunken looking knight move. But now, I mean, there's so many options which are probably all winning, but this is probably one of the most incisive that was played. Rook d3. So the rook's even threatening to come along sometimes to h3, supports g3, supports that third rank. All sorts of nasties. Rook d1, but now is like a real clinical attacking move. One of the most clinical attacking moves seen probably at this high level. Clinical crushing. A nail in the coffin, many commentators were saying, the clinical nail in the coffin of Lebanonian here. Can you see black to play? If I give you 5 seconds to pause the video, what would you play with black? Okay, bishop d5. Yeah, this is just this diagonal is lethal. If rook takes d3, this wasn't played. White tries to shield that diagonal. If he plays this, then queen takes here. f3 takes here is just absolutely lethal. For example, queen e1, f2 check. So if we have the queens coming off, this is mating. The pawns and the bishop deliver a checkmate there. And if rook f3, then yeah, queen takes e1 check. Yeah, it's all over, of course. Checkmate. So it's pretty desperate f3 now, and just g takes f3, just letting the rook go. I mean, the pawns and the bishop and the queen and the knight are enough to do the job here. Look at these pieces over here, they're just not being activated. This is horrible. It's a nightmare. It's an actual nightmare, this game for white. So e takes d5 was played, but now, can you guess? I mean, this was all actually almost a 10 move forced mate, actually, from bishop d5. It's like a mate in 10 or something. It's just that bad. Literally a mate in 10 or something. Mate in the 10 or 11. So here, black to play. What would you play in this position? Okay, queen e2 just threatens to checkmate here. And there's really no defense. Rook e1 was played. g2 check, and now the game ended here. If we look at this final position, on king g1, so white resigns, king g1, f2 check does the job. Yep, taking discovered check and mate. And if king h2, g1, queening double check, king takes f2, and then you can see the power of the rook on the third rank here with rook h3 check, f1, queen double check and mate. Yeah, so that was there's another line here with this. Yeah, it's all winning really. Yeah, so quite an astonishing attacking game there. Very, very direct, outrageously direct attacking game from Vlad the Impaler, as he's sometimes nicknamed. So it's one of his immortal games, I believe, in the Berlin defense. Outrageously direct attacking game. And shows how, although we've been evolving opening theory for like hundreds of years, it seems we can still play these astonishingly new, simple-looking attacking moves out of what was previously quite well-trodden territory. So that just shows the beauty and power of chess and all of its vast possibilities as well. So I hope you really enjoyed this game as I did. And comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks so much.